Let me ask you something. How many steps did you walk today? Maybe 5,000, maybe 10,000? Maybe you even laced up your shoes, headed out for a 30-minute walk, came home feeling like you did something genuinely good for your body, and you deserve that feeling. Walking is one of the most ancient, most natural, most powerful medicines we have. And yet, I have sat across from patients in my clinic, people in their 50s, 60s, even 70s, who walked every single day and still gained weight, who still had swollen joints and aching knees, who still felt exhausted by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, who still had rising blood sugar and expanding waistlines despite doing what they believed was the right thing. And the first question I always ask them is not how far they walked. I ask them how they walked, because here is the truth that most people over 50 have never been told. Walking done wrong is not just ineffective, it can actively accelerate the very health problems you are trying to prevent. Poor walking habits can worsen joint damage, drive up cortisol, spike insulin, shrink your muscles, and trigger inflammation in your body at the precise age when inflammation is already your greatest biological enemy. After 50, your body is a fundamentally different metabolic environment. Your hormones have shifted. Estrogen and testosterone, the hormones that help you build muscle, burn fat, and keep your joints cushioned, begin their long decline. Your insulin sensitivity drops, which means your cells become stubbornly resistant to glucose uptake. Your cortisol, the stress hormone, tends to run higher and longer than it did at 30. Your muscle mass begins to disappear at a rate of up to 1% per year in a process called sarcopenia. And your mitochondria, the tiny energy factories inside every one of your cells, become less efficient at burning fat for fuel. All of this means that the way you walked at 35 may actually work against you at 55. The timing is wrong, the pace is wrong, the footwear is wrong, the terrain is wrong, the breathing is wrong. And perhaps most critically, what you do before and after your walk is robbing you of the very metabolic benefits you are trying to earn. Today, I am going to walk you through 7 specific science-backed mistakes that people over 50 make when they walk and exactly how to fix each one. These are not opinions. These are rooted in physiology, in published research, and in the clinical patterns I have seen time and again. By the end of this video, you are going to understand your body at a deeper level than most people your age ever will. And that understanding is going to change the way you move for the rest of your life. Here are the 7 mistakes we will cover. Walking at a flat, constant pace and never varying intensity. Walking at the wrong time of day for your metabolic goals. Wearing the wrong shoes and destroying your joints from the ground up. Ignoring your posture and walking in a way that accelerates spinal aging. Walking too much without recovery and pushing cortisol into dangerous territory. Skipping protein around your walks and accelerating muscle loss. And walking in complete silence, missing the single most powerful tool that can multiply your results. Let us begin. The first mistake is walking at a flat, steady, constant pace and doing it every single day as if that is somehow the gold standard of fitness after 50. I see this everywhere. Someone sets their treadmill to 3 miles per hour, plugs in their earbuds, and walks at exactly the same speed for exactly 30 minutes, Monday through Friday. It feels disciplined, it feels consistent, and biologically, it is almost completely ineffective for fat loss, cardiovascular improvement, or metabolic health after the age of 50. Here is what is really going on inside your body when you walk at a single, comfortable, unchanging pace. Within the first few minutes, your body makes a very calculated decision. It reaches for the easiest available fuel source, which for most people after 50 is glycogen, the stored sugar in your muscles and liver. As long as your intensity stays low and constant, your body stays in this comfortable sugar-burning zone. It never needs to dip into your fat reserves. It never triggers the hormonal cascade that produces real metabolic change. You finish your walk, feel like you accomplished something, and then wonder why the number on the scale refuses to move. What the research shows is that varying your walking intensity even modestly changes everything. A landmark study published in the Annals of Internal Medicine in late 2025, tracking step patterns in tens of thousands of adults, found that how you accumulate your activity matters as much as how much you accumulate. In other words, one focused walk with intensity variation outperforms scattered casual movement throughout the day in terms of cardiovascular outcomes. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of your metabolism as a furnace. If you keep the temperature low and constant, the furnace burns just enough wood to maintain warmth, but never burns through your stored reserves. The moment you turn up the heat even briefly, the furnace goes into overdrive and begins burning through everything it has. That is what interval-style walking does. It briefly turns up your metabolic furnace and your body keeps burning at an elevated rate even after you stop. The protocol I recommend for people over 50 is what I call structured walking intervals. Every 5 minutes, increase your pace for 60 to 90 seconds until you feel mildly breathless, not gasping but challenged. Then return to your comfortable pace. Repeat this 3 to 4 times during a 30-minute walk. You can do this on a flat surface simply by pumping your arms more vigorously and lengthening your stride, or on a route with mild inclines. Research consistently shows that even brief increases to a brisk or fast walking pace are associated with significantly lower all-cause mortality. A 2025 study found that as little as 15 minutes of fast walking daily carries comparable health benefits to 150 minutes of moderate activity per week. Your body responds to challenge. Give it the challenge it needs. Before we go any further, I want to connect with our community. If you are new here, welcome to BioBites, a channel where we break down health science into actionable strategies you can actually use. We are building an amazing global community of health-conscious individuals, and we would love for you to join us. Hit that subscribe button right now and click the bell icon so you never miss our evidence-based content. And I am genuinely curious, where in the world are you watching this from? Drop your country or city in the comments below. We have viewers spanning 6 continents, and seeing our international community grow is incredibly inspiring. Your engagement keeps us motivated to research and create content that truly serves you. Now, the second mistake. The second mistake is walking at the wrong time of day for your unique metabolic goals after 50. Most people simply walk when it is convenient, after dinner while it is cool, or first thing in the morning out of habit. But the timing of your walk has a profound and specific effect on your hormones, your blood sugar, your fat burning capacity, and your cortisol rhythm. And after 50, getting this timing right is not a luxury. It is a biological necessity. Here is what is really going on inside your body. After the age of 50, insulin sensitivity, your cell's ability to respond to insulin and absorb glucose, decreases significantly. This means your blood sugar rises higher after meals and stays elevated longer than it did at a younger age. Every time blood sugar spikes, insulin surges to bring it back down. And chronically high insulin is the single most powerful signal your body receives to store fat, particularly around the abdomen. This is why so many people after 50 develop what I call the metabolic middle fat that accumulates around the organs regardless of caloric intake. Now, here is the game-changing science. A 2025 study published in Scientific Reports examined what happened when people walked for just 10 minutes immediately after eating versus resting or walking 30 minutes later. The results were remarkable. Walking within the first few minutes after a meal dramatically reduced the peak glucose spike compared to every other condition. Your muscles, when activated by walking, act like a glucose sponge. They pull sugar directly out of your bloodstream without needing insulin to do it. This is called non-insulin mediated glucose uptake, and it is one of the most powerful metabolic tools available to people over 50. Let me give you the practical protocol. After your largest meal of the day, whether that is lunch or dinner, take a gentle 10 to 15 minute walk within 5 to 10 minutes of finishing your food. You do not need to move fast. A comfortable, easy pace is sufficient. This one habit alone can reduce your post-meal blood sugar spike by a meaningful percentage, lower your insulin demand, and over time begin to reverse the insulin resistance that drives belly fat, brain fog, fatigue, and metabolic disease. If your goal is fat burning specifically, your morning walk before breakfast in a fasted state is also extremely valuable. After an overnight fast, your glycogen stores are partially depleted, which means your body reaches for fat as fuel much earlier in your walk. Even a 20 to 30 minute fasted morning walk can enhance your fat oxidation for hours afterward. And if you can take that morning walk in natural sunlight, you add an additional layer of benefit. Morning light sets your circadian rhythm, lowers cortisol, and improves sleep quality, which directly affects how much fat your body burns the following night. Timing is not a minor detail. It is the lever that determines whether your walk works for your metabolism or simply against it. The third mistake is wearing the wrong footwear, and this is one that silently destroys joint health, posture, and walking mechanics in people over 50 in ways that take years to manifest but are extremely difficult to reverse. Here is what is really going on inside your body when you walk in shoes that do not serve your anatomy. Every step you take sends a force wave up through your heel, ankle, knee, hip, and spine. This is called ground reaction force, and it is completely normal. The question is how that force is distributed and absorbed. When you wear shoes with excessive heel cushioning and elevation, which describes the majority of modern athletic shoes, you change the mechanics of your stride in a fundamental way. You begin landing heavily on your heel first, which drives that ground reaction force directly up into your knee joint and lumbar spine, rather than distributing it through your calf, Achilles, and foot arches as nature intended. Research published in the journal Arthritis and Rheumatology found that footwear with elevated heels, even shoes marketed as walking or running shoes, are linked to increased risk of osteoarthritis in the knee and hip in older adults. A separate 5-year follow-up study confirmed that heel height in footwear is directly associated with the development of joint symptoms and accelerated cartilage breakdown in people over 50. This is happening quietly with every step, while most people assume their expensive shoes are protecting them. What I recommend is choosing footwear that is relatively flat from heel to toe, what biomechanists call a low-drop shoe with adequate support, but without an exaggerated heel stack. Look for shoes where the heel is no more than 4 to 8 mm higher than the forefoot. This encourages a midfoot or forefoot strike, which distributes force more evenly and puts significantly less compressive load on your knees and spine. There's a second footwear problem I must mention, and it is one that people rarely think about: shoe age. The cushioning material inside most athletic shoes breaks down significantly between 300 and 500 miles of use, often in less than 6 months for daily walkers. Once that cushioning degrades, you are walking on essentially a flat, hard surface with the illusion of support. Research confirms that shoe mileage directly affects ground reaction forces and muscle activation patterns, particularly in the knee and hip. If your walking shoes are more than 6 months old and you are walking 4 or more days per week, they are likely doing more harm than good. Replace them. Your joints will thank you for the next decade. The fourth mistake is ignoring your walking posture and collapsing into the forward hunched head down position that is increasingly common in people over 50, especially those who spend hours at a desk or on a phone. This posture does not just look unhealthy, it actively compresses your spine, shuts off the muscles that stabilize your core, limits your lung expansion by up to 30%, and shifts the mechanical load of your entire upper body onto structures that were never designed to bear it. Here's what is really going on inside your body when you walk with a forward head posture and rounded shoulders. For every inch your head moves forward from its natural alignment over your spine, the effective weight your neck and upper back must support increases by approximately 10 pounds. A head that is just to and forward, which is extremely common in people who use smartphones and computers, is creating the equivalent of 20 additional pounds of compressive load on the cervical spine with every single step. Over thousands of daily steps, year after year, this drives disc degeneration, chronic neck pain, and a progressive rounding of the thoracic spine that becomes increasingly difficult to reverse. But there's a deeper metabolic consequence that most people miss entirely. When you walk hunched forward, your diaphragm is compressed, and your breathing becomes shallow and rapid. Shallow breathing triggers the sympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight response, which keeps cortisol elevated throughout your walk. This completely undermines one of walking's greatest physiological gifts, its ability to shift you into a parasympathetic rest and restore state that lowers cortisol, reduces inflammation, and promotes the hormonal environment needed for fat burning. The correction is simple but requires conscious practice. Before you begin your walk, stand tall and imagine a string attached to the crown of your head, gently pulling you upward. Roll your shoulders back and down, not forced, just open. Keep your chin parallel to the ground. Engage your core lightly, as if bracing for a gentle tap to your stomach. Swing your arms naturally from the shoulder, not the elbow. This posture opens your chest, allows full diaphragmatic breathing, and activates your glutes and hamstrings properly, rather than letting your hip flexors and lower back bear all the work. Proper walking posture is not vanity. It is the difference between walking that heals your body and walking that slowly breaks it down. The fifth mistake is walking too much, too often, without adequate recovery, and believing that more is always better. This is one of the most counterintuitive truths in exercise physiology, and it is one that catches people over 50 by surprise, because it contradicts the cultural message that discipline equals daily relentless effort. Here is what is really going on inside your body. When you exercise, including walking, your body perceives it as a controlled, beneficial stress. The adaptation to that stress is what creates the health benefit. Stronger muscles, better cardiovascular efficiency, improved insulin sensitivity. But here is the critical piece. The adaptation happens during rest, not during the walk itself. If you walk at a challenging pace every single day without allowing your body adequate recovery time, you keep cortisol chronically elevated, and chronically elevated cortisol, particularly after 50, when your stress response system is already less efficient, becomes deeply destructive. Research consistently shows that dysregulation of cortisol in older adults is directly linked to sarcopenia, the accelerated loss of muscle mass and strength. Elevated cortisol is catabolic. It breaks down muscle tissue for fuel. This means that if you are walking aggressively every day without recovery days, you may literally be destroying the muscle you are trying to preserve. Studies have documented measurable reductions in morning cortisol levels in older women who walked 3 times per week for 50 minutes compared to those walking daily without rest. The modest routine produced better hormonal outcomes than the more aggressive one. For people over 50, I recommend a walking schedule of 4 to 5 days per week with deliberate rest or gentle recovery activity, stretching, yoga, or slow walking on the remaining days. On your active walking days, vary the intensity as I described earlier. On your recovery days, protect your cortisol by engaging in genuinely restorative activities, time in nature, meditation, deep breathing, or light mobility work. The goal is to create a hormonal environment that supports muscle building, fat burning, and cellular repair, not one that perpetually keeps your body in a stress state. More is not always more. Sometimes strategic rest is the most powerful training tool available to you. Before we continue, I want to pause and say something important. If this content is resonating with you, if you are learning something here that no one has ever explained to you in this way before, please share this video with someone you care about. Someone over 50 who walks every day and cannot understand why their health is not improving. That share might change their trajectory. And for our community here, thank you. The comments, the questions, the international engagement, it reminds me every single day why this work matters. Now, the sixth mistake. The sixth mistake is ignoring nutrition around your walk, specifically failing to consume adequate protein and unknowingly accelerating the muscle loss that is the root cause of metabolic decline after 50. Here is what is really going on inside your body. Every time you walk, you create microscopic damage in your muscle fibers. This is normal and necessary. The repair and rebuilding of those fibers using amino acids from dietary protein is what makes your muscles stronger, denser, and more metabolically active over time. But if you walk and then skip protein or rely on a small salad or a piece of toast as your post-walk meal, you have given your body the stimulus to rebuild without providing the raw materials to do it. Your body, being highly resourceful, will simply break down muscle tissue from elsewhere in your body to complete the repair. You end up in a net negative protein balance. Over months and years, this is how people lose muscle mass despite staying active. After 50, this problem is compounded by a phenomenon called anabolic resistance. Your muscles become less sensitive to the muscle-building signal of protein. This means that older adults need more dietary protein than younger people to achieve the same muscle-building response. Research consistently supports a target of approximately 1.2 to 1.6 g of protein per kilogram of body weight per day for adults over 50 who are physically active. For a 150-level adult, that is roughly 80 to 110 g of protein daily, significantly more than the outdated recommended daily allowance that most people still follow. The practical protocol is this: within 30 to 60 minutes after your walk, consume a protein-rich meal or snack containing at least 25 to 30 g of protein. This could be 2 to 3 eggs with avocado, a serving of wild-caught salmon, Greek yogurt with nuts, or a quality protein shake if whole food is not available. This post-walk protein window is when your muscle fibers are most receptive to amino acids, and hitting it consistently will meaningfully slow the sarcopenia that accelerates aging after 50. Do not let your walks go to waste by ignoring what you eat around them. Protein is not optional. It is the building block your body needs to turn every walk into a deposit in your long-term health account. The seventh mistake is walking in complete passive silence, staring at the pavement, lost in rumination, missing the single most powerful multiplier that turns walking from a physical activity into a full-spectrum medicine for your brain, your mood, and your longevity. Here is what is really going on inside your body. Walking by itself stimulates the production of brain-derived neurotrophic factor BDNF, which is essentially fertilizer for your neurons. BDNF helps grow new brain cells in the hippocampus, the memory center of your brain, and it directly counteracts the cognitive decline associated with aging. Research has shown that slower walking speed in adults over 50 is independently associated with a greater risk of developing dementia, not just because slow walking reflects declining physical health, but because the neurological systems that control gait and the systems that control cognition are deeply intertwined. But here is what amplifies this effect dramatically. Walking in nature or with deliberate sensory engagement shifts your brain into a state that dramatically accelerates BDNF production, reduces cortisol, and activates the parasympathetic nervous system. Studies measuring cortisol and dopamine levels in adults who took forest walks versus urban walks found measurable decreases in cortisol alongside increases in dopamine in the forest walking group. The simple act of walking among trees or even paying deliberate attention to natural sounds, textures, and light during any outdoor walk shifts your body into a hormonal state that no medication can fully replicate. What I encourage you to do is transform your walks into what I call multi-dimensional medicine. Leave the phone in your pocket. If you choose to listen to something, make it a podcast, an audiobook, or a language lesson, something that engages your prefrontal cortex and turns your walk into a learning experience. Or walk in complete intentional silence, paying attention to your breath, your surroundings, and the physical sensations of your body. Research on mindful walking shows measurable improvements in heart rate variability, a key marker of cardiovascular health and stress resilience compared to distracted passive walking. And if you can walk with another person, a friend, a family member, a partner, the social dimension adds yet another layer of biological benefit. Social engagement during walking has been shown to reduce inflammatory markers and improve mood hormones simultaneously. Walking is the original social medicine. Use it that way. Let me bring this all together for you because these 7 mistakes are not random. They are connected by a single underlying truth. After 50, the margin for error in how you move shrinks. Your body has less tolerance for chronic cortisol, less reserve against muscle loss, less resilience against joint damage, and less capacity to compensate for poor metabolic habits. But it also has a remarkable capacity to respond, to adapt, and to heal if you give it the right signals. Walking at varying intensities tells your body to preserve and build muscle. Walking at the right time after meals and in a fasted morning state optimizes your blood sugar and fat-burning hormones. Wearing appropriate footwear protects the joint architecture you will need for the next 30 years. Walking with proper posture activates the right muscles, opens your lungs, and keeps cortisol in check. Taking strategic rest days allows the adaptation to happen where adaptation actually occurs during recovery. Consuming adequate protein transforms each walk into a muscle-building event rather than a muscle-depleting one. And walking with presence in nature, in silence, in connection, transforms a physical act into a neurological and hormonal therapy that no pill can replicate. These are not complicated changes. None of them require a gym membership or expensive equipment. They require knowledge, intention, and the willingness to apply what you now understand about your own biology. I want to give you a direct challenge. Choose just one of these 7 corrections and apply it starting tomorrow. Just one. Track how your energy, your joint comfort, your blood sugar, or your mood responds over the next 7 days. I am confident you will feel a difference. And once you feel it, you will want more. Walking is not just exercise. Done correctly, at the right time, with the right habits surrounding it, it is one of the most potent anti-aging interventions available to any human being on this planet. It costs nothing. It requires no prescription, and it begins the moment you choose to take it seriously. If this video added genuine value to your understanding of your health, if it shifted the way you think about the walk you take every day, I would truly appreciate it if you like this video and subscribe to join thousands of others who are optimizing their health naturally. Leave a comment below and tell me which of these 7 mistakes you recognize in yourself and which one you are going to fix first. I read every single comment and your story matters. Thank you for being here. Walk well, live long, and I will see you in the next one.